In this video, we're going to work out I to the 31st power minus I to the 42nd power. Each of these can be written as either I, -1, -I, or +1. If you take your exponent, divide by 4, and get a remainder of 1, it's I. If you're using a calculator, if you take your exponent, divide by 4, and get 0.25, it's I. If you get a remainder of 2, or a decimal 0.5 using your calculator, it's -1, a remainder of 3, or 0.75 using division with your calculator, it's -I, and no remainder at all, or 0.0, it's going to be 1. So 31 divided by 4, 4 goes into 31 7 times. This has a remainder of 3, so I know that I to the 31st is the same exact thing as -I. Another way to think of this is to rewrite this using that idea that any multiple of 4 as an exponent is going to be 1. So I to the 31st, if I'm thinking of my multiples of 4, the largest I can get is I to the 28th. So I can think of I to the 31st as I to the 28th times I to the 3rd. And this is helpful because, well, I to the 28th is the same thing as I to the 4th raised to the 7th. I to the 4th is 1. 1 to the 7th is 1. 1 times I to the 3rd is doing nothing, so that's gone. And with my I to the 3rd, if you want to, you can think of this as I squared times I, or -1 times I, or -I. Either way, you have to get I to the 31st as -I. Let's deal with I to the 42nd. So if I take 42, divide that by 4, and work out this math here, I'm going to get 10 with a remainder of 2. If it's a remainder of 2, I know it's -1. So this I to the 42nd is -1. Let's bring this minus sign down. So I have minus, then I to the 42nd is -1. To think it through in this way, I to the 42nd. Now my largest multiple of 4 that is less than or equal to 42 would be 40. So this is I to the 40th times I squared. I to the 40th I can think of as I to the 4th raised to the 10th. I to the 4th is 1, 1 to the 10th is 1, 1 times I squared is just I squared, and we already know I squared is -1. Subtracting a negative, I can think of this as -I plus 1. And then to write this in standard form, where my real number part comes first, this would be the same thing as 1 minus I.